I'm that girl who is going to remind you today about the difference between enabling someone, disempowering someone, and empowering someone. And it always starts with us first. Are we still enabling ourselves to justify our lack of inner work? All choices. Everything is about our own choices. No one can force us to feel anything. We choose to feel the way we do. Big responsibility there when you realize that our mindsets and our perceptions of the way of the world is all on us. All individual choices that we're making. Do we want to be afraid and feel victim to the world and feel very frustrated and all of the other emotions? Or do we want to see this as an empowerment opportunity to remember why we are here, what is our service to humanity, what is our purpose and our mission? One can empower you, one can disempower you, and it's just the choices that you choose to perceive the world. And yes, this is a very challenging extra bonus round, if you will, of what we're experiencing here on this planet at this time. And so with the many hundreds of sessions I've done with quantum sessions, either BQH or QHHT, and just in general talking to people, I find for some people, they are on their spiritual journey and they have felt very disempowered by their partner or friends or husband or family as they are trying to stumble across and expand their perceptions and their mindsets and their information about why we're all here. And so it may not just be about the crimes against humanity. It may be about reincarnation. It may be about other beings, other high dimensional beings that are here to be of service and assistance also. So some people who have woken up really abruptly and really sharply have been misdiagnosed with certain labels from the mental health industry, and that in itself is heartbreaking to hear, because the person doesn't even understand what is happening to them when suddenly they're able to channel potentially other parts of themselves, high dimensional parts of themselves, other lifetimes of themselves. It looks quite scary for them when they are suddenly very aware that they are not normal and that no one's going to support them or believe them with this information and experiences. So immediately they get put onto suppressants of some medication form and then labeled and potentially institutionalized. And this has been happening for a long time. And we love those labels, right? Love all of the labels to disempower us, to make spirituality unnormal. And I'm wondering what agenda is behind that. Certainly not one that empowers humanity. So moving forward, many people have asked me, has my husband had a walk-in? Because, he seems very different now in the last 2 years. And this is very common for people to want to know if people that they have seen very asleep suddenly evolve quite rapidly, and they're noticing that at a rapid rate. And really, most of the time, there has been some situations where, yes, absolutely, they've walked out and had a walk-in. They have just been in the energy field of my clients who are also growing at a rapid rate. Unfortunately, we don't often get to see our own personal expansion as much and as vast as we can watch others. And so we're all growing once we drop the fear, once we expand ourselves energetically, and we can be more lighter and hold more higher frequency because we're not looping and distracting ourselves. It is like all the energy in the universe is a gift, shall we say, right now, and we're given more gifts if we know what to do with them. If we don't know what to do with them and we're going to short circuit ourselves or misuse it, our teams aren't going to bestow amazing high frequency energy onto us, because if we get that high frequency, that big amount of energy, and then we choose to be in density, Well, obviously that's not going to help anyone, is it? So we would not be given that amount of energy to play with, because we would misuse it and just add density to the planet. And right now they are looking for everyone who is choosing to lighten up their mindsets, to release themselves from the density of emotions, trauma, victim modes, all of those things. They are delicious to play with, absolutely, and we've all done it. But for those people who are not empowering themselves to move up out of that, you're getting different amounts of energy. So for those people who are truly, truly, truly of beautiful service, you can feel them. I can feel them a mile away. And they may have they still may be a little bit unsure about themselves because they haven't got those big egos. Those big egos think that they deserve big energy fields. And yet what they would do with it is, be part of the problem and not the solution for humanity. So, our teams, our high dimensional selves are no fools. That you cannot fool them. You may think you can. You may think you can trick the system and beat the system, and with your spiritual words and jazz hands think that you can get everything that you perceive you deserve, and yet you're wondering why you're lacking. So there is lots to be said there, and it is not a shame. I'm not trying to shame or call anyone out, obviously, because it's all still a journey. But for those people who are mature enough and responsible enough to know where they're at, what their agenda is for why they want big energy, there has to be a lot of honesty for themselves. And a lot of people are finding that they're tripping themselves up because they have this entitlement. Yes, they were big deals in other lifetimes. Fantastic. Because they chose to be of service and not be self-serving. Now, I know that there's a difference between self-empowerment and then just being self-focused, holding the energy for me, holding the energy, not allowing anyone else my energy, blah, 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 blah. The guy looks, there's millions of things that it looks like. So I'm trying to be talking to everyone and also trying to talk to little subgroups who need to listen and hear these little things today. So I feel like I'm already off on a big tangent. So sorry for that. So you get the idea that people can see clearly their partners growing so profoundly that they want to say, Joe, is this a walk-in situation? What's going on here? I love this new growth, but whoa, it was so much. And so we are able to see other people's transformations and evolution because we're watching them, we're noticing it, but it's a little bit less easier and obvious to notice our own selves and our own growth. And so most of the time the subconscious will say, my client has grown so much in the energy field that it's impossible not to uplift the whole household, and this is what it looks like. And so of course, those people who are oblivious to the higher frequency power that they're capable of holding and maintaining, you can be what would some people call, people who are asleep, who are still massive powerhouse energy, because they're not looping into fear. They're just very sturdy, very focused on their routines in their daily lives. They're not up and down emotionally. They're just distracted themselves from the mainstream media and from the truthers and the spiritual communities and all the other stuff. They're just deadpan focused and straight ahead, and they're not looking at anything that is going on. So those people, while it can frustrate everyone on the sides, they are actually doing some profound work, because they are not dipping into density, and they are not tripping into their own egos. So then they're holding the frequency themselves. They're just being of service and just fantastic that way. So many people trip over their own egos when they find out that they were big, important beings in other lifetimes, because they assume this is the same for this lifetime. And it potentially can be, if they choose to lose the density, if they choose to step up, empower themselves, speak out for their truths, and empower others. And so everyone's at a different journey with this. So it is about every individual person being honest about where they're at. And when we still look for others to empower ourselves, to love ourselves, to reassure ourselves, to praise ourselves, to protect ourselves, blah, 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 blah. Whatever you're still looking out for others to provide for you, that is still inner work for you to empower yourself with. We shouldn't be needing things from other people because we are truly self-sufficient. And this is where we should be able to maintain, because when you have an attachment and an expectation on someone else, you're disempowering yourself, thinking that you can't provide it for yourself. And that's a limited belief system on self. And so when you fully love yourself and you fully know who you are, what you're capable of, and there is no limits of your capability, especially in this energy field, when you truly step into your own self-empowerment. It is truly exciting times. And I really hope that for those of you who are starting to thinking about dropping the fear, dropping the 3D focus and attention and the worries, because fear never is the solution to a problem. It really never is. The only thing that fear is good for is to overcome. And so when we overcome fear and we learn the lessons from that fear, that is the most empowering, profound thing we can experience and overgrow and potentially teach. I know many people just want to feel so frustrated with the mandates and the things that are wrong with the world. And when we just focus on the things that are wrong with the world, that just does not lift us up and empower us at all. In fact, you could say that the dark agenda is wanting us all to just focus constantly, never forget what is wrong with the world. And so how does that make us feel when we feel into all the tragedies of the world? Bottoms ourselves out. We just feel we feel disempowered because there's no way we could possibly fix everything. And we want to fix everything because we just are doers, aren't we? We want to heal the world with a massive big band-aid and say, get on with it. And in the reality, what is wrong with the world right now is simply just the having experiences. Everybody's having experiences to feel the breakdown of systems, to feel the truth starting to hemorrhage out into different formats, to be forced to connect into communities, to be forced to share our truths and thoughts and feelings. We may privately have had all these belief systems within us, but we would not dare talk to people about it. And if you're afraid to still talk to people about your personal feelings and thoughts without going into a reactive emotion, there's still inner work for you. If you still can't speak your truth to people and be afraid of being disrespected, well, that is them disrespecting you. That is not a problem for you because you love yourself and you respect yourself so much. You do not block and limit yourself because of other people's disrespect. And you can say that if they are starting to disrespect you, you would like more respect with this because you're a very valid person. You're not an imbecile. You're not an infant. You are able to freely think. And for me, myself, I know I have I've got degrees. I have been working really hard in this field for a long time. I have great evidence of what I am saying and how I've come to the conclusions about the new earth because of hundreds of sessions that are all taped. And I would love to have a debate with someone who believes with their own precious ego that everything that has come out of my sessions that I've heard for the last 2 years is not factual. And so, of course, people need to see it to believe it, and that is fine. But for those people who are so limited in their belief systems and their perception, and they're so controlling the narrative because they don't want it to be out of their own control because they either didn't come up with it or accidentally they were wrong for all this time, so they might as well just continue on to be wrong to save their pride and their egos because they can't ever admit that actually they got it wrong. Whatever is going on for them there, it is going to be a challenging experience for them to overcome, but it's fine. Embarrassment is something that we've all learned at some point, and we've all been wrong at some point. And so the way that I approached this work was with incredible diligence because I was concerned greatly by the information that was coming through my clients, and it was quite confusing for me. And so I overthought it. I asked a billion different questions in a billion different ways just for me to be able to understand what the heck is going on. And of course, I've had to support many clients who were very surprised and very concerned what their own subconscious said, because they love their lives. Why on earth would they want to leave this earth? And so it is profoundly a roller coaster. And when we get to have the advantage of being able to think about the bigger perspective, understand life contracts, including the life contract of a planet. Most of us think that we're the masters of the universe. That's so precious of us. And yet we forget that we're actually being hosted on a planet, and she has her own life contract. And with our free will, we can't change her life contract, and nor should we even try. That would be so egotistical of us to be able to think that we could impress on a planet who has suffered and endured so much that we want to stay here to be able to enjoy our retirement. So whatever is our mindsets and processing, we must be able to understand that with our reactions to others, many people are frustrated that they're not supported with their partners or friends, and yet they come across as prickly cactuses. While they think that they're on this path of evolution and empowerment, they're still wanting to be deeply supported and nurtured. And so it is challenging when we're having our own growth to be supported and nurtured when we can't even express our truth to others. And so we're expecting to be completely supported and fully loved by others when we are completely ignoring their own needs. And they're having their own journey. And for us to expect everyone to support us while we're going through our special unicorn phases, most of the time, from what the subconscious is saying about my clients, is that they're not actually seeing those around them and supporting them. They're judging them. You fool, you don't believe in reincarnation? What an idiot, for example. So when we have to respect ourselves, there's a difference, as we have already covered, about judgment and observation. And so we can have full observations and acceptance of everyone's belief systems 100%. But when we're trying to nurture and empower ourselves, sometimes we can disempower others and judge others and feel frustrated. And then we become hostile to those people. And there's a whole ramifications, lots of reactions to actions, and it is challenging times. What they wanted me to remind everyone is you do not die speaking your truth, and yet most of you act as if it will kill you. And so fantastic times, no death, no true death of our souls never die. And so regardless of whatever you say, you will not be killed for it or die from it, but use your words wisely. If you want someone to love and empower you, you must love and empower them first. Don't be that prickly cactus sulking, expecting everyone else to support and nurture you because you're going through something. Everyone is going through something. And so it is a profound time to be unconditionally loving to all, and to speak your truth, not be afraid. Do not run away from triggers, because those are profound gifts that your guides have given you to unpack and identify with and empower yourself through. So jazz hands for triggers, because they give you growth. While we do not enjoy being triggered, the rewards that we gain after we have profoundly grown from that trigger is fantastic, because it gives us the extra step forward into our perception, into our growth. It's almost impossible to not grow from a trigger. So if you do it well and honestly deal with it, face it, look at it, unpack it. And as soon as you realize you're triggered, fantastic, pause those emotions. Now intellectually unpack it. Look at the history of it. Look what it triggers you to remind yourself of. Look at all of this. Unwrap it as a beautiful gift, and then see how you can apply it moving forward. It is fantastic. It just looks like it's a cactus gift, but in the middle of it, it is profound experiences and wisdom. So be brave, my friends. Nothing's trying to get you. Everything's trying to empower you. But when we when we still are reacting to triggers, when we're still reacting to inner work and avoiding it, they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is not a threat. That is just a loving reminder from me to from your guides, because they're saying we're going to work overtime on you all, and you cannot run away fast enough from your inner work, because they will know where to find you. And it's so let's just rip off that band-aid now. Let's look at the triggers that we have been avoiding and empowering ourselves with, because it is a fantastic time to own and be responsible for all our inner work, to empower ourselves truly and honestly, to be able to then be able to support others. Because the best thing about doing your own inner work and growing love of self, respect of self, trust of self, all those fantastic things, is that we're so much more able to tap into true inner peace. I think that may have sounded like I said true inner peace. Inner peace for everybody, delicious. So anyway, I think I've tongue-tied myself out of this one well. Much love to you all. Enjoy that inner peace. Remember that we can't avoid the growth. And so while we all love to have that high perspective and really truly enjoy that inner peace, there may be still times that we need to be of service, to be triggered, to be able to grow from things we still haven't got to the onion layer of inner work yet with, or we need to be triggered to be able to then be of service, to potentially trigger others, or finally speak our truth to others, so then they can have that learning and that lesson and that experience. So I find often when I've been pulled out of my inner peace to be able to deal with a few things, it's really to be able to support others, to be a mirror for those other people, for them to actually see where their inner work is still being hidden away from, and they're not paying attention to it. So I find the people that are brought into my life are very profound and significant, and I want to honor my contracts that I obviously have with them, and I am so grateful to be able to be of service as much as I can. And it is fantastic times. It truly is fantastic times, even though I would not have ever considered saying that, really, when you look at just the state of the world and what is going on. But that is truly because of my hard inner work that I've done, to be able to ask what is going on here. And when you're not afraid of truth, when you're not afraid of the grand awakening, when you're not afraid of the evolution for humanity, you actually can see all the necessary stepping stones that humanity needs to experience to be able to learn and be a part of. So much love to you, my friends. I really, truly hope that you're drinking lots of water, honoring the body, loving yourselves, treating yourselves, and just finding any way that is the best way for you to be grounded. It doesn't mean necessarily bare feet on grass, because some of you, I know you're in lots of snow. So is music going to ground you? Is certain smells going to ground you? Is a certain dance and a song going to ground you? Whatever brings you back into yourself, to empower yourself, is always going to be their recommendation and mine. Much love to you guys. I hope you still have a fantastic day.